Good morning. Let's just make something random. So I'm gonna go up and make a new workspace. VFX. Motion tracking. I got this new mouse and it clicks very loud. Quite excited about that. So I'm gonna go over and open. Adding a spaceship. That's a bit of a spoiler, isn't it? We're gonna add something. So this is some footage I filmed with a drone over the summer. And here I'm gonna click prefetch here. And that's just going to load all of the footage into RAM so we can scrub around it really easily without it having to encode everything. Blender, or decode as you scrub around, makes everything go a lot faster. Blender doesn't always give you a cue when that's happening, so you just kind of have to wait, but it looks like it's done. I'm going to click set scene frames to trim it to the length of the clip, and let's just see if we can do this automatically. I'm going to go to the beginning and click detect features, and that gives us a bunch of automatic tracking points. We're going to make sure the distance is something that gives me a whole bunch of them. I'd rather have too many than too few. With all of them selected, you can hit A to select all of them. Hit track. And this is going to go a little slow, so I'll see you in a second. And I don't need to, and I probably shouldn't, but I paused it halfway through so I could detect more features. Hit A, select everything, and keep going. I want a really dense point cloud. I could do that at the end, where I could do a track with just like a few points, and then just go through and track like the middle 10 frames with a bunch of points all over it, and that would still give me a point cloud at the end. But this will just make sure I have maybe a very, very accurate camera track. We'll find out. Okay, we got a bunch of points here, and I could probably just hit solve and get a reasonable result, but let's do it right. So I'm gonna go into the solve tab, and first under cleanup, I'm just gonna filter the tracks. Let's see, with anything over an error of 5, sure. And what that's gonna do is it's gonna highlight a few of these tracks here, and my guess is any of those points, yeah, it's gonna go off the edge, and they're all just gonna glitch out for a second right before they disappear, and that's going to ruin the track. We have enough. I'm going to hit X, delete those tracks. Keyframe, automatically select. No, I'm going to do it myself. With the keyframes, you basically want to specify 2 different perspectives, like here and here, so that it has a lot of different, perspective difference to calculate, to triangulate the parallax or whatever from. So in this case, let's start at the very top at like 15, and down here lower at like 125. You want to make sure there's 8 tracking points of overlap between those two. They have 8 tracking points in common. In this case, that's very easy. Refine, focal length K1, K2. I don't know if I even have to do that. It's all camera motion. 0.28 pixels, that's really good. Now that we have a solution, we can go back into clean tracks, and let's just select anything with a reprojection error of 1. That's where basically it takes all these tracking points and it goes, okay, I can imagine this digital camera moving here. That would explain all of these points with this parallax and all of that. And you say anything that drifts more than a pixel away from where you would expect it to be, select those points. And that probably means the points are wiggling on the end of a branch, or are at a junction where like 2 edges overlap, and so what you're tracking is actually not a point, it's where 2 things are overlapping. So I'm going to delete these, and let's see what that does. If you ever try to solve a thing and it takes 0.22, that's excellent. That's 0.2 pixels. We're good. If you ever click solve and it takes forever, that probably means your keyframes aren't ideal. So try playing around with keyframes and you can get to solve really quick. Okay, well with that done, ooh, I should have done this in the first place. Oh, I have it. Okay, well this is the resolution of the footage. I also want to change the frame rate. Probably should have done that before I tracked, but we will see what happens. I'm going to click set as background, and I could do setup tracking scene, but I won't. Okay. Ooh, I guess I do have to click set tracking scene. There we go. Gives me all the points, gives me the camera move. Let's go into layout here, and to get my points back, I'm going to go into this pull down and check motion tracking. And now we've got, look at that nice dense point cloud. That's really great. I'm going to try to match it up like like real life. So this is the ground at the base of the waterfall, and this is kind of the basin going up in to either side. Let's see, this is a size of a person, and this place is absolutely huge, so let's scale it all up. I'm going to put in a plane here, and I'm going to try just really quickly matching this plane to this point cloud. So extrude, yeah. And then we can project the footage back onto this this plane, and we should get a reasonable facsimile of the actual location, which is pretty fun. Okay. Just kind of trying to massage everything so that the maximum number of points are being intersected. Okay, and we'll be tweaking this real good in a second here. What if I just pull this part out? This is some kind of gnarly geometry, but okay, that's all right. So I'm gonna go and let's project the video footage back onto this object. I'm gonna hit Control B and just bevel everything, smooth it all out a little bit. So click here, Material Properties, create a new material. We'll just call this Footage. And let's load in an image texture. I'm gonna bring in adding a spaceship.mov. And what happens if we just go into material view? It's basically the original plane being extruded out everywhere into nonsense, and that is a-okay. So we're gonna apply what we want is to be able to project from the camera's point of view the footage back onto the geometry. And unfortunately, we can't just like do project from view because the camera's moving on every frame, so we'd have to reproject from every frame. Fortunately, there's a modifier that does exactly that. So under modifiers, we're gonna add a UV project, and we say, yep, use the only UV map you have, and the object will be this camera. And look at that, it's just doing it right off the bat. If you're having any, one thing you do have to do is change the right now it's projecting it in a square, so you have to change the scale so that it lines up with the actual camera like this. Boop. And you also notice it's a little zigzaggy, and that's because there just isn't quite enough resolution in the footage. So if we like subdivide this, you can see that lines up a lot better. So that's cool. It doesn't have to be perfect. You can also, I don't know if you can tell with the compression, but when I hit play, it blurs a little bit, and that's because we have viewport denoising on. So I'm gonna turn that off. Okay, so what are we seeing here? First, it looks like it isn't playing. So I'm gonna open up a new panel here, go into the shader editor, and let's see what we've got here. I'm gonna turn on auto refresh. I'm gonna crank up the number of frames. And yeah, okay, there we go. Now we have enough stuff. You can see too it's tiling around the edges, which is a little bit bonkers. So I might change that to extend. And so now it's just extending that last row of pixels out. We could go in here and like delete everything that isn't being used, or I guess we could just select all of those and hit Control I and delete all of that. But I'm not actually all that worried. So if we go outside of it, you can see it still holds up. Woo! And anywhere where it looks like stuff's slipping, that just means the geometry isn't matching the points all that well. So like right here, let's turn on proportional editing so we can just grab one edge and grab everything else around. And let's just try to get some of this a little bit closer. Oh yeah, these ones aren't even close at all over here. Get in there. Okay, let's see, is that looking better? Just scrub through and alright, the tree branches are a little bit loose. But at least like the rock wall here is working pretty good. Do I have any more points I could let's do that. Ooh. These points are kind of wild. I think this is like up along the end of the waterfall here. So yeah, like these are the trees coming up here, and this would be the channel where the waterfall cuts back. I'm not going to worry too much about trying to match that. I think this might be okay for now. I'm going to change this to an emission shader. So now it's just quietly glowing with the video texture, which is cool. And yeah, that lines up pretty good. One thing we can do, if you ever try to duplicate this, it'll keep projecting from that one camera's point of view, but if you select the camera and the object, you can move all of it around. So we can just create our own little fern gully. Ooh, maybe make a little pit. I guess that's a thing we could do. In fact, let's do that because I want to have that for reflections. Here, let's throw a little chrome sphere down in here. UV sphere. Shade smooth. Let's make it glossy. A little chrome ball. Cool. And here, for Eevee, let's turn on all of our stuff here. Screen, reflections, motion blur, all that. In fact, we don't have a lot going on, so I'm going to turn off half-res trace and get a little bit better reflections. Let's make our little chrome ball cloud. Should look kind of weird, huh? Come on, let me select that sphere. What's going on? It's kind of nifty. Let's see, if we go to cycles here, I'm going to turn on GPU. Hopefully that doesn't give you a grinding sound. And if we put like a regular sphere in here, yeah, you can see the top doesn't have anything going on, so it looks kind of weird. But we can just load in, I filmed this with a drone, and I got one shot looking out towards the horizon, where the horizon's kind of halfway. And if we wrap that picture around the entire scene, it's actually going to give, it's not an HDRI by any means, but it's going to give us kind of the right light coming in from the right direction. So let's load in an environment texture. Open! Horizon, yes. Yeah, and it just wraps all around like that. And now, if you look, you can see, you know, hopefully, if you're working on with an actual chrome sphere like this, you want to make sure you actually had a higher res, you know, panoramic thing wrapped around. But this works okay, and it yeah, it just gives a more natural light direction going on. You could add another like sun lamp up here, and maybe turn up the angle so it's looks like it's coming through diffuse clouds, and that's gonna make it maybe match things up a little bit better too. So what are we gonna do with this? I want to add like a little landing platform sticking out of the edge of this cliff right here. So let's see. I can delete all of these spheres. Man, it keeps not wanting to select what I want to select. Oh, it's selecting all of these little points. That makes sense. I wonder if I can easily hide those. I don't think I need those anymore. So motion tracking. There we go. That's gonna be easier. Let's set up a plane. I'm gonna jump back into Eevee here. And let's just have this stick right out of the cliff face. We'll see how this works. Oh, turn off proportional editing. See where it connects, I suppose. We'll be playing around with a bunch of this. This will be like a little control room. Yeah, it's kind of cool. Maybe a railing. Shift D, cool. Do this, scale it down a little bit, and let's add some edge loops. I'm gonna hit P, separate that to a new object, which I'm gonna give the good old wireframe modifier. I'm kind of overdoing all of these. Oh, I did the wrong one. I used to make all of my railings just by slapping a wireframe modifier on them, and honestly, if I've done something too much, then I start to second guess it a little bit because it just. But in this case, it works good because it's very distant. Okay. So now we have our little thing sticking right out of the edge of the cliff here. Let's move it over here. Cool. And throw a material on there. New material. Base color is an image texture. Load in. What do we like? What do we like? something that looks like it could be kind of in a nasty waterfall jungle. Nasty waterfall jungle. So we were actually camping like a mile upriver of this, and I knew there was a waterfall down there, so I woke up really early, and I sent the drone down the river until I found the waterfall, and I was like, whoa, it's actually there, that's amazing, because I wasn't actually sure about it. And then later that day, we trampled through, and we finally found the trail, and we went there, and it is the coolest. You can't tell from up there, from the sky. It's like this basin, and you're just surrounded in this crazy thing, and I took pictures, and it all just looks like moss and waterfalls, because you don't get that sense of like, this place is absolutely mind-bogglingly huge. It's probably my favorite place in Washington State. Okay, that's looking pretty good. Select everything. Cube projection. Oh yeah, we can turn on. Should have done this a long time ago. I try to say all the keys out loud, and this thing also stops working all the time. Let's make this a little thinner. One thing I like, just kind of from a wrought iron type perspective, is here. Let's add one more bit down here and one more here. And if we select all of these points, we can bevel every single one of them with Control-Shift-B. And that gives us, it's beveling them out. Here I'm going to scroll down a little bit to reduce the number of points. And if I hit P, I can change the profile of the bevel. I can make it circular. And then if I go into face select mode, I can just delete all of the central faces. And now there's kind of a nice little, nice fancy little railing going on, I suppose. Oh, I meant to change the material there. Here, let's make it dark. Cool. And let's make this building right here a different material. New building, image texture. Do I have any mossy buildings already going on? Probably don't. Yeah, that looks kind of like a thing. Here, let's pull up the UV editor so we can actually give it a little love. Assign the new material here. Scale this up. Oh yeah, that's gonna look good. Let's model to this a little bit here. Select all that and Alt E, extrude along normals. Yeah. Cool. Okay. I wonder if that would work good for the rest of this too. I think I definitely want to keep it as sort of in aesthetic. We'll kind of do a whatever. Little doorway here. Little rooftop. Cool. And that railing is nonsensical. Let's bring in, and I guess we won't really see the bottom here, but we could, like, add some, looks pretty dumb. Oh, where'd it go? Add some little supports going on here. Cool. All right, let's bring in some people. Append, Patreon. These are the people I've got for the level 7 folks. I like them. I've been using these guys a bunch. They're just nice and lightweight enough that you can use a bunch of them. So this is actually, let's see. This is actually not like too far from the actual scale. Like, these boulders are the size of houses. They were absolutely gargantuan. Let's put some of these guys here, waiting for the mailman. Okay, so I'll keep some of these guys, maybe some of these guys. Cool. Okay, so one thing is we're coming down really straight on this whole deal, and so I think I want to cheat the perspective just a little bit. So we don't have to use this original camera. Here, I might actually delete these. I don't think I need them really. I'm gonna add another camera that's gonna do our own thing. And where's that? There it is. Ooh, it's tiny. I'm gonna just stick it up here. I want to still keep it close to where the video is actually being projected from, because the further you get away from that, the more you can see the weird stretching. But as long as you're next to the original camera, it all holds up really good. So I'm gonna try to do that. Let's see. Here we go. We're starting here. Location, rotation, and then going to the end. Just getting a little lower. I want more dramatic of a camera angle. I want to, Control 0 on the numpad to snap to the other camera. And I want to try to slide out as much as I can here. Okay, let's do that. If we open up the animation editor, the graph editor, you can see that it eases. It kind of goes from 0 and goes woo and eases back out. And I think I want to at least make this first one. I'm going to hit V and bring up vector, and that makes it just start straight. And I might even pull these ones out a little bit. So they still slow down, but we're not totally getting to 0 by the end of the shot. Okay, that's kind of cool. Which one's the rotation axis? Oh, there's that. I think this is the... Yeah, I'm going to add just a little bit of noise to that modifier here in the side panel. Whoa! Let's see, let's do like 0.2 and 0.04. Yeah, and that just adds a little bit of a handheld feeling, as if you're in a helicopter kind of going down real quick. In a helicopter? Am I subconsciously channeling that scene from Jurassic Park? Absolutely. If you haven't seen Jurassic Park, I just found out Caitlin hadn't seen Jurassic Park, and I was very excited. I think the footage is a little bit overexposed, so I'm going to go in here and just like color RGB curves. I'm just going to pull down the middle a little bit. See what happens here. Okay, so if we jump into cycles, what does this look like? What's the integration between that's okay actually. This part right here is a little bit weird where it matches up, and you can see the footage is a little bit too low res if you zoom in. One problem with that, I actually shot this footage 4K, but for this tutorial to go fast, I down-res it to 1080. If I replace this with the 4K footage, we'd get a lot of that resolution back, and there wouldn't be that mismatch between this blurriness and this right here. I kind of feel like maybe I got the camera angle a little wrong, and this cliff is a little bit too steep, but maybe not. Here, let's bring in some steam. Actually, no, let's bring in some boulders. Ah, mossy rocks. Yes, let's bring in all the mossy rocks. This is another... Everything I'm using, I think, is basically something that I've shared on the Patreon at some point. Let's see if we can just blend these rocks in with the with the footage. That would be cool. Okay, so down below we've got some... Just gonna try to blend these here. If we stick these up coming out of the cliff wall, I think the green doesn't totally match with like the red of... Ooh, that's kind of nifty. The red of the actual footage. And I could probably go in here and let's see, color, hue. If I just shift the hue, does it kind of match up a little bit? Hey, it does. That's cool. Okay, so let's try. And if we wanted to really, just work on this for a while, we could incorporate different platforms and things so it's intersecting with the rocks and all of that. Because right now, no matter what we do, it's still going to be weird because the branches here are going to be slipping behind the back of everything. And there's a bunch of stuff we could do about that. Like you can see right there, it's all slipping around. I'm going to grab one of these. Remember, the texture isn't stuck to this. It's just wherever it happens to intersect the UV projection from the camera. So I'm going to take this, and I'm just going to subdivide, turn those subdivisions up like crazy, turn up the fractal, get a nice little clumpy branch type thing, and let's just kind of set these up over... I don't totally know if this will work. My guess is this isn't even like high res enough to really read as a fuzzy fir branch, but I'm hoping I can kind of just abstract it a little bit. Oh! Interior preview. Huh. Okay, that's a reasonable sort of integration. Like let's take this and let's throw another one down here at the base. Just kind of amongst the boulders here. Look at that, I can just blend it right there with the real footage. That's cool. Which means I could add like little people and stuff on there and have all the shadows and everything just work out a-okay. The one thing I'm not going to be doing in this is casting a shadow from these objects onto the cliff wall. Just because in this case I don't think I need to. Okay, I like this stuff going on down here too much, and I feel like I'm panning up. Like you can see, I've got all of this space here. Oh, I think we'll zoom out. Okay, that's why it was getting so blurry. I was only using the very middle of the footage. Oh yeah, okay, that's crisper. I like that. And I'm gonna even lower this a little bit too. I want to see all the way to the base here. If this edge shimmer is throwing you off, you can always, under the camera settings, under viewport display, the Passepartout, I don't know how you pronounce that, you can turn that up a little bit, get a better sense of what's happening. Let's add in some steam now. So F3, images is planes. Let's go to our steam elements. Again, I've got these uploaded. I'm going to go to emission. And let's see. Okay. Yeah, I think that'll work good. Let's go under shader editor here. And instead of a transparent and emission shader, I'm not going to use the alpha at all. I'm going to have the color power the mix here. And just however bright it is, it's going to mix between a transparent and we could use an emission. Right now it's very hard to see, so I'm going to put a converter color ramp in there. Oh. And if I pull down the whites, it makes it all a lot more visible, which is cool. And I'm going to make sure cyclic, these video textures all loop, so I can just keep it going. A lot of times it would probably make sense for me to change the emission to translucent so that light actually plays with it a little bit. But in this case, I think it's actually going to be fine. So let's just try having this be over this ground thing here. Yeah. Hey, that works good, and that way it's got a little bit of a volumetric feeling. Let's do the same thing up here. Honestly, this only really makes sense if, one, you want to have stuff feel a little bit more cloudy, and two, if you are trying to get some interaction between like the CG objects, because otherwise it's effectively just making the original footage a little bit more misty. I like it though. Oh, that one's all coming from over there. Where's... Oh, that's the one I didn't have lined up. There we go. Now it's actually coming from the... Nope. Why is there something... Oh! Huh. One of these has a bit coming out right here, and I don't like it. Oh, that one. Okay. That's cool. Because now, every time I try to select anything, I'm going to be selecting these planes. I'm going to hit linked by object data, and just hit M, move them to a new collection, Steam, and that way I could just go in here and add a new filter called selectability and turn that off for the whole group, so now I can't select them. But I might also just turn them off for now. Nah. Sometimes video textures will load slow when you first load them in, or they'll play slow, but once they play through once, whoa, things start to get a little bit faster. Let's see, do we want to add like a foreground bit? We've got more of these boulders down here. Let's see, what's the best angle for seeing? Yeah, that's a good. What do we want to do here? Let's have the camera kind of like pull out over this as if we're coming over a different cliff. It's probably adding a little bit too much going on, but I think it could be fun. So which one? Yeah, that one. Okay, so first I want to pop out. And then we'll see how far out this way I can get. This isn't actually going to make the shot better. I want to do it just to play around with what we can do with this shot, you know? If I were actually doing this shot, I wouldn't do this. Because it doesn't make any sense perspective-wise. Like, why is there a cliff and then underneath there's like another... maybe we won't even do it. I had all this stuff that integrates so well with the footage. I wanted to be able to play with it a little more. But here, we'll just stick it down here because we can. Although again, shifting the hue a little bit would make all of it interact a little bit better. So let's bring in our ship here. So file, append. Oh, I should save. Patreon. Coming in for a landing. And I'm not going to use a spaceship. I am going to use that truck. I think I have that here, right? No, I don't. Fastest way to find it. Camino guys, I think. No, it's Joe's opening. Grant. Yes, Grant's truck. Asset. Collection. Truck. Cool. Gonna get rid of all these lights. Do I have other lights selected here? I feel like this truck should have more lights on it. I'm going to scale this down. Try to kind of match it up with this platform here. I think I may have scaled. I think these people are a little too small. So I might scale them up a little, which means that door is now too small, which means the whole thing is just the wrong scale. But maybe that's what they're researching. We found this amazing tiny building deep in the heart of Costa Rica. Is that where they filmed Jurassic Park? No, they filmed Jurassic Park in Hawaii. I think it was supposed to take place in Costa Rica, but it was in... I don't know. Okay, so there's the truck. Add a keyframe with eye, location, rotation. And then let's see. This might... I think because the shot's only like 5 seconds long, this would be zooming real quick if it came from all the way up here. But I kind of wanted to have it pass by the camera, too. Let's see. We'll see. We'll just see what happens here. Add another keyframe. I'm gonna select this first one, hit V vector to make it kind of zip away. That's not so bad here. You get the sense of what's going on. In fact, let's do a which one's which axis? Yeah, let's have it kind of start going that way a bit. And twist out. Which one's the twist? Show me the twist. Oh, there we go. Cool. So I want it to go to something kind of like coming back in and then straightening out. He's kind of blocking the platform a little bit. Maybe I have him going slightly too far. Yeah, that works. That works pretty good. And I love that you can actually just step to the other side and see, like, he is coming down pretty fast. I just love being able to work with footage in this way, where it's actually part of the entire environment, and you can just see how everything is all laid out. I'm going to add a little glowing light. We're just going to rip off Fifth Element, because what else are we going to do with our lives? We got our little cube, make it a new material, emission. Let's make it like, yeah, pink, super bright, yeah. And then let's snap the cursor to there, and we're going to create a Bezier as well. Curve, Bezier. And as long as they have the same origin, let's scale this up, you can use a curve modifier really easily. It's when they don't, and you have to try to line things up, things get complicated, so this should work out really well. So I've got my array modifier. Turn up the distance. I can shrink this way down. We'll see, I'll probably be tweaking it. And then a curve modifier, and let's just select our curve here, and there we go. So now I can kind of create our little dotted landing dots, which are always so cool. Let's maybe make these dots a little bigger. I don't need 87. Do that. I want it to kind of be passing the camera. I guess I did just... Yeah, they just go straight down. I did tweak this animation, didn't I? So it popped it really far out. So let's just not do that, and that way it'll pass through. Whoa. That's cool. In kind of a, again, ripping off Fifth Element sort of way. And let's see, is there anything else we want to do to this? Let's see how it renders in cycles here. We'll lose the glow on the little cubes. You'd want to do a separate pass or something to fix that up. And this works okay. I think I do want to add, do I still have that light? Might want to increase the value of this light, or maybe make it not from straight above here. Okay. And this is going, because this is just an emissive texture, the video, it's not affected by light at all. And so that means everything I'm doing is just affecting all of the geometry I have, which means I might turn this down just a bit until this CG stuff blends in really well with the footage. That works uncannily well. I'm really tickled by that. Ooh, I have all these other rocks going on here too. Oh. So anyways, you can just imagine you could have other rocks sticking out, and you could have like a monorail system that connects to everything else. It's like woo, going out along this way, just around the waterfall. Where'd this boulder go? There we go. Come back in here. I want to see what it looks like just sticking out of the wall right here. Definitely want to change the hue on that one. The blue values. There's nothing else that has blue values, and so it's not gelling super well. But I think that could still probably work okay if you wanted to add a little monorail going from thing to thing. Anyways, yeah, I just wanted to kind of, I always feel as if every tutorial has to cover completely new ground, and so this was just kind of a experiment of like, what if we cover some old ground a little bit, just do another video compositing thing, because I feel like people who are new to the Patreon might not want to dig back into like 4 months ago, and it also means that I don't feel as if I can only post to the Patreon if I'm like, I just figured out this thing. I can just be like, hey, here's a random fun thing that we're doing, and it makes my life easier. I think sometimes I'm too hard on myself in that regard, because you guys have always been so nice. I don't know why I'm like, they'll hate me if I don't whatever, because you're so kind. Okay, I'm starting to babble now. I turn 33 tomorrow, and so Caitlin and I are going up to a wacky little Airbnb for a couple days. Should be very nice. So I will see you when I get back. And should I render this? I don't even think I'm gonna render this. I think you can see what it looks like. Oh, where'd that shadow come from? There's a shadow. Oh, one thing. Because of the steam. Here, let's make the steam selectable. The steam is casting shadows. That's causing some weirdness. Shadow mode, none. There we go. That works. That works a little bit better. Can we add foreground steam? That would probably not be beneficial. I can also, under color management, I can turn the look up to like medium-high contrast. Maybe turn down the exposure a little bit. I can use curves. Pump just like... We already have a bunch of green. Pump it more green. Turn it down for the highlights. Give it kind of a funky look. I love that you can do that in the viewport. Just make the entire viewport have a kind of a funky grade on it. It's a little bit weird. Like, I like that this passes through the haze. The truck does. Where does it do that? I guess right there. You can kind of see it pop. Poof. And you could just separate the mist into, like, very translucent layers that you could turn down. I'll show you. Let's just do it. I don't know how it'll play back, but, okay, so here you can see the mist. The background is also very distracting. But if I go into edit mode, I can duplicate it and just layer it up here. So we have kind of a volumetric effect. I've obviously never tried this, and I think we're gonna suffer because of it. Here, I'm gonna try offsetting a couple of them, which again is probably gonna make it worse. But this is one of those things that worked in my head. Scale it down, offset. Okay, and then I'm just gonna pull this value out to make it all dim again. And I've now, because these are all sharing the same object data, I've done that to all of them. So when it passes through, here, let's make it really bright for a second. When it passes through this cloud right here, whoa, it should kind of fade. Yeah, it fades instead of just clipping through a single layer. So that's kind of cool. Okay, well, I really like how thick this mist is, actually. I had another one like over here. If you want to, let's see, because right now everything's in sync, and I found it's pretty forgiving. Like, you can have a bunch of steam all doing the exact same thing before it jumps out, but if you want to make it new, instead of hitting Alt-D, I'm going to hit Shift-D. Here, I'm going to do that just to make sure this is its new instance. And under the material, I'm going to say, hey, you're a single user copy now. And now this is its own thing, so we can tweak just the brightness of it. If we want to offset the timing, we have to also click this 2 on the video node here, and now we can change the start frame to be whatever we want. So let's go to the beginning here and just whoa. In a world of pink mist. That's kind of fun. Okay, I'm gonna go get ready to zip off for a couple days, and thanks for hanging out and making a little. This is too bright. I have to tweak it. I gotta tweak it. Yeah, there we go. That's the middle ground. I'll also upload this drone footage in case you guys want to play with it. Yeah. All right. Talk to you soon.